From the Ear to There Travel Studio, this is the Ear to There Disney Podcast.
The Ear to There Podcast, it's time to start the show. Be sure to hold on tight, here we go. Exploring all the different Disney destinations. Ear to There, it's time to start the fun.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Ear to There Disney Podcast. I am your host, Phil Gramlich. I am also the owner and the founder of Ear to There Travel, which is a Disney-specialized travel agency. It's my job, along with all of the vacationeers on the Ear to There Travel team, to take away all of that stress, all of that anxiety, and all of that time that it takes for you to plan a Disney trip so you can focus on the really, really fun things like having a great time with your family and friends, and enjoying the magic. So every single vacationeer on the team will help you get the best possible price on your room only or your package reservation. We'll book your dining reservations, fast passes, special event tickets, transportation, golf tee times, you name it, we will help. We will take care of it. And we don't only book Disney destinations, we can book to anywhere, technically, really, anywhere in the world. Yes, even including that dark theme park down the road on I-4 where the boy wizard lives and the Marvel superheroes still hide out because they can't come to Walt Disney World. We will book that as well. So you can listen to this podcast. You can meet me and all of the vacationeers on the Ear to There Travel team, and you can get your free, no obligation quote over at eartotheretravel.com. All right, this is episode number 175 for the week of July 8th, 2019. So grab a drink, grab a snack, and as a famous mouse once said, on with the show. So here is where the What About Bob segment usually will be in the show. Well, Bob's been a busy dude this summer. He and I are actually talking this week. I will have all new What About Bob questions and answers starting on next week's show. But I didn't want to leave you without a What About Bob segment this week. So I'm just going to put in one of my favorite Bob answers. So here he is, my friend, the Disney legend, Bob Gurr.
It's What About Bob, Bob Gurr, the legend, creator of the Matterhorn, the monorails and the Haunted Mansion. What about Bob, the Disney legend?
From what I've read and what I've heard from you and from other people who worked with Walt, that's kind of what he was always at the forefront of, right? Was that cutting edge technology, figuring out how to tell a story with it.
That's what Walt did. That was the prime thing about him, because number one, he's a quick read at anything to do with technology. He could look at something and he understands it in a wink of an eye, which meant he was a very good judge of what technologies could work, what kind of work will it take to do it. You go back to that multiplane camera. He had this idea to develop this multiplane camera, which they did it in time to get Snow White done with it. But if you really want to know what good technology is like, where Walt wants to experiment with something that doesn't exist, but he understands how it'll work, with that multiplane, go look at Pinocchio. Pinocchio has incredible fly-in shots with changing focus that you couldn't do until we had CGI starting in the 80s. That's how early Walt was at storytelling equipment and understanding it, and understanding enough to pay to have it all designed for him.
Yeah, that's funny. That I remember seeing that in the theater as a kid. It was on a re-release, Pinocchio. My grandfather took me, and just being blown away by it. My kids to this day still are. We have it on a DVD in the car. We just watched it on a trip to Walt Disney World last month. It's a great. I never understood why that one wasn't one of the most popular films that he ever did, because to me, That's one of my favorites, Pinocchio.
Well, yeah, Pinocchio, everybody in the industry knows that was the super advanced technology way of telling a story, quite beyond this, telling the nice story of Pinocchio.
All right, that was one of my favorites by Bob. I love when he talks about Walt Disney and just some of the things that we kind of take for granted, or some of the things that we don't realize Walt was so hands-on with, including that technology. I just love when Bob talks about how above and how far into the future Walt Disney actually was. All right, here we go. Let's move into the rest of episode number 175. That's all about the little things. Here to talk all about the little things we love about Magic Kingdom is one of my favorite little people. Well, before I say that, let me give you a real intro. One of my favorite little things is sometimes I get my wife, Amy Liz, who's on the show today.
Hello.
Will buy me something small just for fun, just out of nowhere. And this past week, I got 2 Funko Pops. One was Bo Peep, and the other one, I can't remember. Oh, it was Duke Kaboom, both from Toy Story 4.
Amazing, right?
That's a very cool thing. So, one of my favorite little things is when somebody does something small like that for me. So thank you so much, and it means a lot.
You're welcome. That was very nice.
Yes. How are you?
And also, you called me short, just so you know.
You are short.
But you also called me one of your favorite things.
Yeah. Well, let's
they go with the bad.
Don't get hung up on the bad part. You are short. You're 5 feet tall.
I'm really short. I am.
I mean, I'm short at 5'7". You are
legitimately small.
Like, we have to worry when we go to Disneyland because some of the rides you're not tall enough for. Like, Walt Disney World is newer, by like 16 years, so they adjusted. But Disneyland, you can barely get on some of those things.
It's a good point.
So, okay, so this topic came up because I am basically a video game nerd, especially a sports.
Oh, yeah, this is a cool reason that you thought of this.
Yeah, so I'm a sports video game nerd, right?
Yes,
and
that's true.
And I don't get to play nearly as much as I really want to. I've been playing sports video games since I was 7 years old, 6 years old, something like that, when I first got Nintendo. So I play this game every year, or I try to play it every year. It's called MLB The Show for PlayStation 4. And I go to these forums on this website, and they have this thread, on the forum called the Little Things thread. And every year, these programmers who make this video game put these super small, very intricate little animations in the game, or sounds or things that only true big baseball fans will get. Like, they'll put something like, they'll put a sign in on one stadium only in the game that's there in real life. And it makes the difference when you're a huge fan of this team.
Yeah, no, that makes it totally
And you see these little things in a game where, like, they'll have the right color of a player's cleats.
That makes everything, right?
Yeah, or they'll have, like, the player will have a certain color to his glove, but only one player in the entire game. When there's 700 plus players in the game, it's a neat thing. So
it really is. And to be honest, and this is certainly not an advertisement for MLB The Show or whatever it's called, but no. I will say that if I'm upstairs and I come downstairs and I see the TV, I really don't know if it's a game or if you're watching. Yeah,
these games have gotten ridiculous.
It's amazing
with like the high def and the
really
picture
true.
And when you play it on a certain mode, you can't tell if it's baseball or if it's TV. Or if it's a real game. Same thing with the basketball game. I think that's even more convincing.
Yes, it is. You don't play that one as much, but yes,
no. But when you play that, like the NBA 2K games, and you have it in like the broadcast view, you can leave that on. And if my parents came to our house,
they would have no idea.
They would be like, "What, the Sixers are playing now?" They would have no idea.
That's really cool. True.
So anyway, that's what inspired this. We wanted to do the little things we love about Magic Kingdom.
It's such a fun topic.
And I figured we talked about and we debated doing it for Walt Disney World. What's going on with you right now?
I'm fine. I made a funny face. I'm sorry, guys.
Okay. It is. It's like it's like recording a podcast with a clown. You never know what's going to
I
happen.
just felt a little sick. I'm fine. Everything's fine. It passed.
So we debated doing it for all of Walt Disney World, but I thought there's so many little things in each park, and we could do it for each resort. We could do it for everything.
Yeah, it's a really good topic. You can do it for anything.
Yeah, so let's start out with a big one with Magic Kingdom.
I love it. I'm in.
And little things, and it could be anything.
Right.
But what I was hoping to go for were little things that you might not notice on your first trip or your fifth trip or your whatever trip, but eventually, and you might even take kind of for granted these things.
Right.
But they're things that make that, let's use a Walt Disney term, that plus the experience, that plus.
So I didn't
Magic
do that
Kingdom.
at all on my list. No, I'm just kidding.
It's like, come on, man.
This time I actually did follow your
What,
directions.
who are you
Mostly.
and why do we? All right. So it's always going to be you first because let's be for real. I like to close out the show.
He's a closer.
I am the closer. I am the Brad Lidge of the Hector Neris.
This is a very sports themed.
I know.
podcast.
I got my
I'm
Phillies
hoping to
hat
get
on
away from
today.
it. Oh, yeah, you do.
We just hit the All-Star break. I'm in a very
I don't know what
baseball
that
mood.
Okay.
You know what the All-Star break is?
Oh, I know what it
You know
means.
what the All-Star break is.
So,
I remember you sitting with me and my family when we first met them, like more than 10 years ago,
gosh, that was a long time ago.
in a house in Sea Isle City, New Jersey, watching Bobby Abreu from the Phillies
Oh,
win
yeah, I
the home run
remember that.
derby.
Yeah. I like that. That
We were
was
sitting
fun.
outside on the deck, enjoying a couple of beverages, having some nachos, and watching Bobby Abreu hit like 80 home runs that night.
I do like nachos.
And then he hit like 3 home runs the rest of the year. Like he had a terrible second half. That's why I'm glad no Phillies are in a home run derby this week. All right. So away from
Back
baseball.
to Disney.
I could easily host a Phillies podcast.
But
or a
that is
baseball
not what
podcast.
you're doing, just
No.
so you know.
No,
And
you're
you're definitely the wrong co-host for that.
That's true. You used to pretend you liked sports.
Yeah, I did.
And then we got married and you were like, I don't like them at all. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so my first one is totally not really what you were talking about. I mean, it is, but it's not.
I love that. It's like, thank you for having me on the podcast.
I'm going to do something totally
Yeah, I'll
different
just
than you
change. Like I do every time. I just change the topic. Okay.
But this is just, this particular one is not Magic Kingdom specific. This occurs at other places.
But it does happen in Magic Kingdom.
It does happen in Magic
That
Kingdom.
counts, I think.
And I am talking about this specific area.
Okay.
So what I'm referring to is, this is where I'm picturing it, is on Main Street, right by the Emporium.
Okay.
Outside all those stores. I'm not a very good visual person, you guys, so I'm doing the best I can. But so outside all those stores, so here you are. Usually, right, you're exiting the park. So you have a lot of emotions. You're probably hot. You're probably overwhelmed. And you might be a little bit sad because you're leaving Magic Kingdom. It may be your last day of your trip, or you just don't feel like leaving, or whatever it is, or you do feel like leaving and you want to. That was you, by the way.
I know. I forgot to hit mute.
He told me to mute my phone.
So mad. It was the computer. It wasn't my phone. Sorry.
Either way.
Darn email.
It's totally
Darn
fine.
technology.
Or maybe you do want to leave the park and you just want to get out of there. But either way, you're walking past the stores and there are always cast members standing outside, usually with like bubbles, like the bubble ones. And they're just like, you're walking up and all of a sudden they're just there. They're having a blast. They're like throwing bubbles around. Kids are like ecstatic. They're like, this is the best thing that ever happened to me in my whole life because there are bubbles. And you just lose everything. Like, you're just like, you know what? This is the best place ever. Like, this is, I think, what you were talking about. This is something totally little and extra that you do take for granted.
Yes.
But it's great. Like, you are just like in the moment of, this is so much fun. And these cast members are enjoying their day. These kids or adults are enjoying their day. And it's just a great feeling.
I like that one.
I don't think you do.
No, I do.
Okay, good.
It is like the epitome of little things. Like, that's something that
I told you I did a good job.
when the parks were designed, nobody thought of bubbles
Right.
or the Mickey glove saying goodbye or giving high fives.
Oh, I forgot to put that on my list, but I've had that on before.
I just threw that in there for you, just so you know.
I love that.
I plussed your
You did.
first one. No, I honestly think that's never, when they designed the parks, and they never thought, oh yeah, we'll do this. But it's something really small
Right.
that probably often overlooked by a lot of guests, like we
Right.
said.
Oh, I think so, definitely.
It's the same. I agree with that totally, and I like that pick because it's the same as the guys who, when you walk in, are standing there with maps, right? The cast
I love
members
them, yes.
We're like, hey,
That's
do you
so
need a
nice.
map? You know, to just hand you a map and
And
where are
then
you heading
can ask
today?
them directions. Yeah, absolutely. They can
Yeah.
tell you. Or they'll give a little tip like, don't forget to do this or don't miss out on that or whatever.
I imagine that if you worked main entrance, you would not be the one giving out the maps.
I would not be a map person. No.
You've been to Magic Kingdom. It's got to be over 500 times.
Oh, definitely.
And you walk in and you're like, how do you get to?
No, I don't know how to get anywhere.
Cinderella Castle, you can get there. You can get down Main Street.
Maybe.
It's so funny when I meet
usually
you.
ask for directions.
Like when I have to do something and meet you in the park, it always makes me laugh because I'm like, I'll call you and I'm like, where are you? And you're like,
I'm passing a popcorn
and
cart.
I just go, spin it around in a circle and tell me what you see, and I'll come find you.
You guys, this is a totally true story.
It happens every time. You'll have like all 3 kids, and I'll be like going to the bathroom, or I'll have something that I had to do, like a podcast, or
sometimes you'll take one of the kids.
yeah. But that happens all the time. Where I'll take one of the kids, usually Zoe, on a thrill ride.
Yes.
You have the other 2. Like I'll take Zoe on Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, and I'll be like, I'll meet you at 100 Acre Goods, the
No,
poo
if
store.
you tell me a specific place, I could just ask for directions. But you're like, just meet me in front of like some weird thing, and I'm like, I don't. Oh yeah, maybe sometimes a store, but you know, I get there eventually.
You're just like, I see a brown sign with yellow letters.
That's the thing.
Like-
I'm so not out.
It makes me laugh every time.
Well, what's closest to you? And I'm like, there's a guy sitting there and he ate ice cream. So I think probably there's an ice cream.
Does that help? There's probably ice cream in here. All right. Anyway, good first pick. All right. So my first one
Thank you.
is a classic one. A classic little thing that I don't know if it goes unnoticed. It definitely doesn't go unnoticed by us on Main Street, and it's the smell of the Main Street bakery.
I'm
When
so
you're
glad I
walking
was
by.
going to put that, and I'm so glad that I didn't.
So why can't I speak? That's all, folks. I think.
I knew you were going to do that.
Oh, gee, sorry. How dare I do a horrible Porky Pig impression? Who's not Disney, so I shouldn't even. Anyway. So, like, the smell of popcorn when you first walk in, right? That's obvious. You walk in on the left side.
Right. I wasn't even going to say that because.
I think we mentioned it 1,000 times, but when you're walking down Main Street, in the middle of Main Street, you smell the fresh baked goods, the freshly baked? Yeah, that's right? Freshly baked cookies coming from the bakery.
Sorry,
And-
you guys. I was making another face.
I mean, man, it is. It's a clown show right now. It's a clown show. Anyway, it's hard to walk by the Main Street Bakery, aka Starbucks,
Right.
and not now you smell coffee, but that's actually being fresh brewed. But it's hard to walk by and not want to duck in for a cookie or a scone, if you will.
Yes, many people enjoy scones. I like scones.
You know, I used to call them sconces. That's not the right thing.
I totally knew that. That is a totally different. That's a real thing, but it does
No, I
not
know.
have anything to do with baked
I'm
goods.
such a dummy. I was like,
No, you're
I
not a
went
dummy.
to England and I had a sconce.
People are like, you probably did.
Like, first of all, it's a scone. Second of all, aren't they from France? Like, what are you talking about?
no, they are from London.
Are they? All right, so whatever. Anyway, you may want a fresh baked sconce. You might want a cookie, but you smell it from the street, and it kind of draws you into the shop. And they do this all over the park, all over Walt Disney World, really.
Right, they do.
The smells are everywhere, and for me, it's a huge. This is an oxymoron, a huge little thing, but it doesn't oxymoron, right? Is that the right word?
Yeah, it is.
I got to ask you for the English stuff. Like I didn't go to school
You're
for
right,
it.
like jumbo shrimp.
Yeah, why do you park in a driveway and drive in a parkway?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why do you sit and stand? Anyway, I love jumbo shrimp and plastic silverware. They're a couple of my
Yeah,
favorites.
those are your faves.
Anyway,
Those are
so
your go-tos.
yes, and I know it's plasticware, whatever. But anyway, the smell of the cookies on Main Street USA from the bakery is pumped out by something called a smellitzer, and it's a
That's
little
a fun name.
yeah, and it's a little tiny hidden nozzle that sprays that pumps out the smell of freshly baked cookies onto Main Street USA. And Disney does it on a lot of attractions, like say Soarin'. They do it in different stores like the confectionery. They do it in all the resort lobbies. Have it.
It's
Have
such a
different
great
smells.
idea.
But this one always sticks out to me and stands out to me when I'm walking down Main Street. My favorite part about the fresh baked cookie smell on Main Street is when you walk into the bakery there's no ovens. Like, they're not even
Right.
baking them there.
They're not even making
They're
them.
not baking them there. They're baked like in the utilidors or backstage
Right. Just
and
bringing them
brought
out.
up.
That's so funny.
But they are not. So even if you do smell it, but you don't smell any freshly baked cookies because they're not freshly baked in there.
That's
They're
so
baked
funny.
on property, but not there. So it's really funny that you smell these freshly baked cookies.
That are not being.
Yeah, they're not being baked. I love that, but it's
That's
something
a
that
perfect little thing. That was.
it is, and it's something about like there's something to be said for being a kid and going like and listen, I'm from Philadelphia. I didn't grow up in a small town, but we had bakeries where I grew up, and it's something to be said for walking by a bakery when you're a little kid and smelling that bakery.
Oh, smelling the bread.
There's nothing like the smell of a bakery, and it kind of brings you back to that when you're
It
walking down Main
definitely.
Street.
Oh, it
It does.
absolutely does, and I think that's the intention.
So yeah, so that was my
Sure.
first one. So
That's a great pick.
thanks, and that's it. Thank you for coming on the show today.
All right, this was really fun.
We did a 14-minute show. All right, you're up, Ames.
So my next one is this isn't anything that is manufactured. Well, I guess technically it is, but this is like, okay, so you're walking past, specifically for me, walking past Splash Mountain, which by the way is pretty much the only way I experienced Splash Mountain.
No, we've gotten you on it a lot recently.
No, not recently.
Well, yeah, we've gotten you on there a few times, haven't we?
Nope.
No.
Because thank you, Jack. He does not like
Oh,
Splash
he
Mountain
won't. But
either.
he's been on it, but he won't. He won't.
The
ride
one
now.
time. That was the last time I went.
Yeah,
on
that was
it.
like 3 years ago.
So you guys, just so you know, Phil always got me on Splash Mountain because he would be like, "Come on, this is the best, and it means so much to me that you share this experience." Blah blah. And then as soon as so I like forced myself.
I don't know if I said it like that.
But then as soon as we had kids, I was like, yes, you guys, I don't have to do this because, oh my gosh, the babies are too little, so you go on it. And then like Alexa was old enough, so I was like, you can take Lex because they only like me and I can get them to sleep. And it was all legitimate.
Oh, who only liked you? The kids?
I mean, yeah.
Wait,
When they were little.
we have some talking.
Either way.
We have to have a conversation off of the podcast now.
So just like when they were a year old. So my point is,
All right.
I've not had to be on Splash Mountain, so I didn't have to be part of what I'm going to reference. What I'm referencing now is when you're walking past Splash Mountain, you hear everyone on it just screaming.
Yeah.
Like you just hear the screams, like especially obviously from the last big drop.
Yeah, and there's that noise.
Chicopee Hill, what's it called?
Chickapin Hill, close though.
I was so close.
There's that noise that I feel like when it hit when the log hits the bottom of the water,
Yes.
it makes a splash noise. But there's also a noise when the log first starts going
That's
over the
what
hill,
I'm referencing.
and
So
then
over
they're
the hill,
screaming.
and it's just so much screaming.
Yeah, it's like click, 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 and then.
But it's like always like
Whoa.
happy. Ooh, are you
Watch out for the pop filter. Yeah, I just smacked. I almost hit myself in the face with the pop filter from the microphone. Go ahead. I should edit that out, but I probably won't. We
I
can't
don't know
get.
if I'm coming back. Okay,
That's why you have to hold. That's why I have to hold the desk when I talk on the podcast. Because if I'm not holding the desk or the arms of the chair, I talk with my hands, and it gets dangerous in here. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
So he was just giving me a minute to compose myself.
Yes.
So yeah, and it's always like happy, excited screams, like, oh, this is gonna be such an adventure. So it's fun, and it really does add to that moment, like when you're walking past, and you're just like, oh, they are on that, attraction, having a blast.
Yeah.
And it adds to the magic of it and the fun of your day.
No, I agree. I'm just thinking of you now.
Yeah, mine is not excited.
You don't really scream though when you go down that hill.
I think I just get silent.
Yeah,
I have like a silent
you scream a lot. Like if we ride Big Thunder Mountain, which you will ride,
yes,
you scream a lot.
right. But it's fun.
If you ride Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, right?
Right.
Have you ridden that?
One time,
You scream a lot.
yes.
On Splash, you gotta just clam up.
Splash takes my screams away.
It's one of those drops that at the bottom of it, you're almost uncomfortable. Like,
I'm lifted out of my seat.
oh yeah, sure you do. But what I'm saying is like, you're like, like you scream, and then at the end, you're like, your breath is gone,
Yes.
and you're like, this should be over by now. Like, it's
'Cause
really,
it's so big.
it's such a big drop. But I love it, and I love to hear people screaming. It's a good pick. I don't think I scream either. Zoe now, when I ride with her, she's hands up all the way.
Oh yeah,
Which I love that about her. She is such a.
She's so fearless.
She is just bring it.
Yeah.
We write Small World, and she's like a boring.
She's like, this is so slow. She's like, we're not doing another one of those slow ones, are we?
Oh my God,
So funny.
It's funny because when she was little, she was afraid of a lot of things, but now, man,
There's
it.
nothing.
She is not afraid of any attraction. Nothing. She is on. We were on. Now it makes me nervous to ride Slinky Dog with her because she's 6,
She's
but
little,
she's
so
little.
she gets pushed, right?
But yeah, but like the harness goes over your
holds you.
legs and holds you in.
Okay.
But I'm a crazy person because I have
You
these.
hear weird things, and you just
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm like gripping her arms, and she's pulling away, trying to put them up in the air while we're riding down the hills. And I'm the opposite. Like I will put my hands up on Splash Mountain,
Sure.
I'll
You've
put
done
them
it
up
100
on Tower.
times. Sure.
but something about Slinky Dog when you go sideways,
Oh yeah.
I feel like I need to hold on to her like she's gonna go flying out of her seat
Right. She's not.
because she's little. She's like 45 pounds. She's
Yeah,
a
she
little
is.
thing. Anyway, all right. So yeah, but it's fun. It's fun how fearless she is, and
It's
I
really
do
cool.
love. And I know this is about Magic Kingdom, but the same can be said for your pick about Tower of Terror. When you start walking down
Definitely, yes.
Sunset Boulevard and you start hearing those screams,
Yes.
it just
fun.
sets
It's
the
just-
mood, man.
It does. It does set the mood. And it's just cool. It's
I
just
don't
one
want
of
to.
those-
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, it's just one of the little things. This is what we always preach so much. Like, keep your phone in your pocket just when you're,
Yeah.
especially in
Yeah,
Magic
yeah.
Kingdom, everywhere in Walt Disney World, but especially Magic Kingdom, keep your phone in your pocket and experience everything.
Yeah, there are.
That's one of the things that you just experience. You're walking past and you hear the screaming and you're like, oh, this is like just part of the day.
Yeah, listen, there are Disney photo pass photographers everywhere.
There are. Yes, you're not going to
So
miss
yeah,
any
so
moments.
take pictures, but
Sure.
obviously you want to get pictures of your family and friends. Don't take pictures of stuff.
Yes, you can find
You can
them
find them.
anywhere. Yep.
Like I take pictures of stuff because I need to do it for
Well,
my
it's work.
website and for work.
That's totally different.
Yeah, but you as a guest listening right now, don't take pictures of Splash Mountain, or unless you have a million of those that you can find.
Right.
Take pictures of your children and your husband and your wife and
Absolutely.
enjoy it. Anyway,
And wait, one other thing. Sorry.
Sorry.
Just because we're on this subject. And do whatever you want. Don't listen to me. You don't have to do this.
right?
But
we
this
we
is-
aren't the authorities on photo taking in the
but
parks.
this is a good piece of advice. Is in terms of your phone. Look, I get it. I live on my phone. I mean, I literally had to turn the option where it said your screen time for the week. I had to turn it off because it made me feel bad about my life and about myself. So I get
You're
it.
like
But
23 hours.
I'm like, this,
what the?
what was I doing? Don't I have kids? But so
Did I shower this week?
it doesn't seem like I had time. So my point is, when you're in the park, also don't worry about going on Facebook. I know you're going to want to put every moment of your whole trip
You're
on
showing your age by saying Facebook.
or whatever. Instagram. What
Yeah.
are the kids like?
Instagram,
Snapchat.
I think Snapchat's lost its luster.
Yeah, I don't hear a lot about it, but whatever you go on,
Instagram, Facebook. yeah.
don't do it in the park. Just because it's going to take away, and then you're going to see some weird thing on Facebook. You're going to start reading the articles. You're going to get upset. Just forget about the phone. Forget about the Facebook. Do it later at your hotel room, and just
Yes.
take the
Darn right.
moments.
Enjoy the
so
moment.
You can
Enjoy
enjoy
the
these little
moment.
things that we're talking about.
Yes.
We high-fived.
High five.
Okay, you're
Hi-
up.
Boy, it reminds me of Bull Ride. High five. You know what? Since you were talking about Splash Mountain, I have a Splash Mountain one, so I'm going to go with
Sweet.
it.
Perfect.
Uh,
Look how good we are.
the extra splashes on Splash Mountain.
Oh, yes. I
So-
know what you mean.
There are two, if they're both working. They're not always both working. Some of it depends on the temperature. If it's a hot day, then I think both of them normally are on. If it's not, if it's a cool day, cold day, like if you're going in January, February, March, they might not be running. But, excuse me. Sorry, I'm drinking a Coke. That's
Totally fine.
drinking a Coke Zero and got a little bit gassy. Sorry, it's very professional of me.
No, it's weird. I also,
You just drank a soda too, didn't you?
I guess.
Yeah, we drink. We like we record after breakfast a lot, and
Yes.
you and I are big soda drinkers for breakfast.
It
So there
wakes
you go.
me up. I don't drink coffee, so.
I drank
know that's
coffee
blasphemy.
and then soda. Like
I
that's
know
a
you.
problem.
Oh, I can tell. I think we can all tell.
All right, so the two extra splashes on Splash Mountain. So the one is what did you call Chicken Pin Hill?
Chickpea.
Chickpea Hill.
Bill.
When you're standing on the bridge over the final drop, like there's a bridge that goes over a chicken, like the drop on Chickapin Hill.
Okay.
And after each log, when a log comes down,
right,
they, the splash isn't big enough to splash the whole bridge, but Disney has that effect where after the log passes, they shoot water onto the bridge to splash the people who are who are just watching it,
who are taking pictures or just enjoying it the way we.
Which you should see this coming because the ground, if it's working, the ground is wet.
You can take pictures of though.
Yeah.
That's
a good place to take pictures. But the ground is wet, so you should see it coming.
You should know. Wait, why is the ground wet? What would possibly wet it?
And it's not every log, but it's every few.
Yes.
And I love that because what I love about it is when people get caught, not like when they don't see that the ground is wet.
Yes, I know, it's the best.
And they just stop to look, and all of a sudden the log goes down, and then they get soaked.
Really wet.
They shoot a lot of water out there.
You really do.
I know
that's a great pick because it is a little thing that you can easily overlook.
Yeah, so that's the one thing, and I love people's expressions after they get wet.
It's like little touches, right? It was a great little touch.
So thank you. The other one is when you're actually on Splash Mountain, you're in the log. And there's this scene where you're same spot almost, but you're on the attraction.
Okay.
Where the log goes around Chickapin Hill.
Okay.
And then there's that little covered like barn, and there's a lift hill that you go up. It's like a brown covering.
Right.
But after each log drops, a spray of water shoots up onto the track.
Yes.
Where you're waiting to go up the hill. And it's not just a little water. It is like a drenching amount of water.
No, it's not a little amount at all.
So it's like Russian roulette almost that you can't control.
Yes.
You're sitting in a log and you're like, oh, no, move. Because you want to get under that covering before the next log comes down and that water shoots up and soaks you. So I know, so you're sitting there and you can't get out of the way. Like, it's not like you can duck or hide under. You can't. You're in the seat. You're stuck on the attraction.
Yeah. So you're in it.
And every time I'm like, oh man, and I'm trying to time it, and I can't do anything about it. And you're like, come on.
Right.
And the water just, and you're gonna get wet anyway.
Right.
But like, you're cool getting wet at the end because you know it's coming.
Sure.
But at that part, you're like, come on, man. Like, I don't want to get soaked here.
Right.
And you do. So I love that. I think it's a lot of fun. And it's really random. You don't always get hit by it, but when you do, you get soaked.
Yes.
And it's a lot of fun. So, yeah, that Splash Mountain itself is just, it always is up there, top 1 or 2 or 3 attractions in all of Magic Kingdom for me. And really the two that it goes up against are Haunted Mansion and Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes, yeah. And I always group them together, right? Like,
they're my 3 favorites.
You can't choose between them. Because they're...
I know, like, everybody loves Space, everybody loves Big Thunder. But Splash is my favorite mountain in Walt Disney World.
Right.
And then it's one of my top 3. I love it. So, yeah. It's, like I said, you don't, it's so funny for an attraction where you know you're going to get wet.
Right.
That you're surprised when you get wet.
Because you do know you're going to get wet, right? And there are many attractions where you know you're going to get wet. But I do think that this is, I mean, other than obviously like Kelly River Rapids or something like that, or however you say it, Collie?
It's whatever.
However you say it. This Splash Mountain is probably the attraction on which you get the most wet.
Yeah, you get pretty
right.
Get
like
soaked.
You don't just get a little bit damp.
Especially in the summer. The summer months you get hot.
Surprising,
you get more wet.
Oh yeah, and that feels
it depends
so
on how wet you are and how. Yeah, the summer you get soaked,
which feels so good because also it dries in 2 seconds.
It does. I mean, I hate it, but
I know you do.
All right, what do you got, Ames?
So this is actually when we started talking about this topic, and you said, "Oh my gosh, this is going to be the topic," and I was like, "Great!" I thought of one immediately, and this is the one that I'm going to say next, which is when you go to Chuck's favorite place, Casey's Corner, the piano player.
Yes,
at Casey's Corner.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
Thank you. The reason I thought of it is, I feel like no one ever talks about that poor piano player.
I think his actual name is Jim. I'm pretty sure he's Jim.
Yeah. Jim, the piano player. But man, does that add to the ambiance?
Right.
Like, and it's very unexpected, right? Because you're going in just for like hot dogs and French fries, and you go in and there's like this incredibly talented Jim, the piano player.
Well, let me make sure it's his name. I'm looking it up.
Okay.
Keep going.
Whatever his name, piano player, and it's just so cool. And he like wears obviously a
Jim,
really
and I
cool...
can't pronounce his last name. He's been there for over 30 years.
Has he really?
30, looking like 36 years now. I know he's a friend, actually, of Johnny Shortsleeves, who runs into him a lot because they live in the same neighborhood.
You said short sleeves? You said short sleeves?
He's a friend of Johnny Shortsleeves. It was possessive.
I don't think so.
Yes.
I didn't hear the apostrophe.
Yeah. What? I know my friend's name. I wouldn't get it wrong. Jim Omohundro, I believe it.
Okay.
It's Omohundro, I think it's
He's
how you
probably
say it.
not listening, so.
Over 35 years.
Maybe he is.
Yeah, you never know.
Over 35 years.
Jim, if
that's
you're listening,
incredible.
I would love to hear from you. We should have him on the show.
Oh, you should definitely have him on
Anyway,
the show.
sorry. So go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, and I do think he is one that that people totally take for granted. For myself, I know I have. For myself, because a lot of times when we go to Casey's Corner, you don't necessarily get to sit inside. It's so popular that oftentimes you have to go outside. And so I'm so focused on like, am I going to find a table? Am I going to find a table before one of my kids has a meltdown? It is really hot. I am really enjoying this hot dog. Like you do get kind of stuck on what's happening in the moment. But it's incredible. He's incredibly talented. Apparently been there forever. And it's just such a cool little touch.
It is. And what other restaurants have a piano player?
No, exactly. I don't know any.
I'm trying to think. I know that they have a piano.
And as I said, it's super unexpected. You would expect one in like, the Grand Floridian in one of their locations.
Diamond Horseshoe has one.
Yes.
Who will play sometimes in Magic Kingdom. And
But
of
like
course,
you never would
Scoop-de-Doo.
think like a quote unquote like a hot dog joint would have
No,
a live piano
it's like
player.
a turn of the century hot dog. Yeah, I love that.
And
Great
I love
pick.
and he wears like a really cool costume.
Yep.
Yeah, it's awesome. It really puts you in the moment of of being there and of that time. What were you saying at that time?
Turn of the century.
Turn of the century, right. So yeah, thank you.
All right, good job.
You're welcome. I mean, thank you.
This is why I have you on the show a lot now. Not because other people don't want to do it with me.
Well, half and half.
All right, I'm staying on Main Street USA, which is
Cool,
funny
man.
is, as I was putting my list together, I was like, you know what? I could have done all little things we love about Main Street USA, I realized.
Oh, I'm glad that you did not.
Yeah, I figured that would have made it harder for you.
Hard, yes.
But I think, let's see, I already did one on Main Street USA.
How
The
many
next
ones
one-
do you have?
Let me think.
Because
Let
I
me
have
look.
extras this time.
I have 1, 2, 3 more.
Okay.
No, wait. I mentioned Main Street Bakery. I mentioned...
We probably don't have to do this during the podcast.
You're right. Let me just go with it, and we'll just...
We
When
probably
I'm
could
done.
pause.
When I'm done, I'm done.
Okay.
All right, so I love Main Street USA. I love it in Magic Kingdom. I love it in Disneyland. I've always said on the show, Main Street USA in Disneyland is my favorite place on the planet.
It is. It really is, you guys. I've been there with him.
I could go to Disneyland Park, and Magic Kingdom is the same, but I like Disneyland's better just because it's Walt's.
Right.
But I could go to Disneyland Main Street USA and spend the entire day there, do nothing else, and have the best day ever.
Before we had kids, we went one time to Disneyland, and we just walked up and down. Do you remember we walked up and down Main Street?
For like hours.
For hours.
And especially at night when the lights are on, you can notice all the little things.
And then we did the same with the kids. We had to wake up super early the next day. So we kept saying, we have to go to bed. We have to go to bed. But we just couldn't leave because they were just...
Yeah, anyway, so...
They fell in love with it too.
So Main Street USA is, like I said, one of my favorite places. So on Main Street USA Magic Kingdom, have you ever noticed, and I'm asking you, Ames,
I'm ready.
that the windows start lower
Yes,
than
I have noticed that.
average windows in any other store anywhere else?
I have noticed that.
So that was Walt Disney's idea so that little kids could look into the windows.
Cool.
It-
That was a good idea.
So, most windows are for an adult, waist, chest high. That's where they start. But for Main Street USA, they start around,
I have totally noticed that.
they start around like your hip or a little lower.
And for people like me who are a bit on the shorter side.
Yes, who
it's
couldn't see
very
inside regular windows.
appreciated.
So Walt Disney designed those windows on Main Street USA and Disneyland for little kids to be able to see in.
So
And they
cool.
carried that tradition over to Magic Kingdom.
That's a great little
Now,
touch.
the thought process was, okay, I want little kids to see in. His thought process was also, I want them to see in so they can tell their parents they want to buy stuff. Like, let's be for real. That's why it was done.
Absolutely.
Was to sell things.
Sure.
So kids can look
I
into
can understand that.
Yeah, so kids can look into the window at the confectionery and see cotton candy being made.
Right.
They can go in the same window at Christmas and see them twisting the candy canes.
Oh, that's
But it's
so
really cool. The windows at the Emporium aren't really windows anymore. They're like, and the same thing in Disneyland, they're like displays.
Right.
That they change out. They're different for Christmas, different for different times of the year. But you'll look into windows and it'll be like an animated scene of a movie.
Right.
Right? In the Emporium. So that's almost like a little attraction in itself.
Sure. That
little kids can see, Agrabah in one window. And then the next window, you see, Prince Charming trying the shoe on Cinderella, the glass slipper on Cinderella.
So cool.
So I love that those windows are accessible to little kids. It's a great little thing that adds to like
really
the ambiance on Main Street. Yeah. And it just adds to that everything is accessible to everybody kind of feeling.
Absolutely. And
I
you're
really
right,
like that.
That is something that's so often overlooked.
Yeah.
You don't think about that. But when you notice it, you're like, oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, little kids can window shop basically.
Sure.
Which they can't do if you're...
that's very rare. You're right.
Right, which they can't do if you're on... I mean, a lot of now, when stores are built, and
yeah, sure, now.
They're built that way now, but they weren't back then. They were
never.
So it's a really cool thing that kind of started in Disneyland, carried over to Magic Kingdom. And again, like, nothing cooler than walking down Main Street USA and looking into windows when you first get there and checking everything out. And I love it. So yeah, I really like the lower windows. So
that's
all right,
a great pick.
Thank you.
So I do want to say, I just have to be totally honest here, you guys. So I got so excited about this, this podcast, and I wrote down the thing about Jim, the piano player, and I was like, awesome. And then I was like, wait, how many do we have to have? And you said 5, and I was like, oh, I'm totally stuck. So I actually texted Chuck, your favorite guy, and I was like, hey,
for the people who don't know, Chuck Rodriguez.
Sorry, Chuck Rodriguez
is on the podcast.
I didn't know if we said last names.
Yeah, we say. I always say Chuck Rodriguez.
Oh, Chuck Rodriguez. He's often on the podcast.
What are we, the Kingsman? We have one name
as a co-host.
What are we, James Bond?
He's often as a co-host.
He's got 2 names.
But I knew that's sweet.
But his code name is 007, so technically 1.
Technically just the one. But so I texted him because I knew he would be amazing at this, idea-wise, although I have much more enthusiasm.
Yeah,
so I think we're a good combination.
He's a cynical son of a gun. So
he is.
If he does this topic with me, everything I say that I'm excited about, he's going to make fun of me.
That's actually a good point. And that's actually how my conversations about real life with Chuck go anyway.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? That's
but anyway, so I texted him and he wrote such a poetic, beautiful answer that I was like, you know what? I'm going to use this and I'm going to give you credit for it.
It's impressive.
So shout out to Chuck. Here you go. And, I said, what are some of your favorite little things about Magic Kingdom, the little touches? And he said, when the riverboat rounds the northern bend of the island, where you can't hear anything from the park except the boat soundtrack and maybe a passing train.
Nice.
Isn't that amazing?
That is very poetic.
I said, that is so poetic. He said, I did read that somewhere, but I totally feel that way. So I said, I'm going to also include that.
I love that.
How great is that?
Yeah, that's really cool. But you actually have to be on the riverboat, which you never ride.
I don't think I've ever ridden that.
You've never been on it?
Oh, he got so excited.
No, that's crazy. You've never been on it.
I don't think so.
You've never been on the Liberty Bell riverboat?
Never.
Liberty Square riverboat. You've never done that before?
Never.
Have you done the Mark Twain in Disneyland?
I don't think so.
What?
No, I don't think so.
What do you mean?
I just don't think I have. I'm sorry.
Oh, my whole marriage is a sham.
He's reevaluating his whole life right now.
That makes sense because when I'm there by myself, I always ride it. But I don't
know why I haven't. I have no problem with the idea of it. I mean, it sounds great.
It's like there's never a line. You just walk right on. You enjoy the narration.
Now we have goals for the next time.
Pete Renaday does the narration of Tom Sawyer on the...
Well, I'm in.
There's a whole spiel on the rivers of America. And...
I can't wait to...
All right, well, we're adding that to the list.
But either way, so how cool is that?
No, it's great. But
whatever, if you guys know what he's talking about, that sounds amazing. If you have an experience like me, go try it.
I feel hollow inside.
But I thought that was a cool pick. Is that a good pick?
That is a really good pick. I don't know if I can give you credit.
It sounds great. Like, you can't hear anything from the park.
I'm pointing to the spot right there. You can see it.
I haven't experienced it.
You can see it right there on the map.
I love you very much.
I'm pointing to the map on my wall that Amy sits right in front of every time we record. I'm pointing to the exact spot that Chuck is talking to.
So just so you know, that
map
means nothing to me.
Yeah, that map. And especially because the map is from the 70s.
Right, that's true too.
So it still has
even if I memorize this would not help me.
No, it still has 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea on it.
Right.
It still has the Skyway on it. There's no new Fantasyland. There's no Thunder Mountain or Splash Mountain on this map at all.
Right.
Yeah, that map wouldn't help you.
No, it would not.
Anyway, I love by the way, the big old collectible maps like that. They don't make.
You do. They are really cool.
They really only put them out for special events now. They don't really make them, and they're very cool. Anyway, all right. So my next one. Here's something. I'm going to sneak a few in here. This is going to be cheating.
I'm ready.
Because I like the sounds that add to the experience.
Yes, of course.
Of Magic Kingdom. So I'm gonna add a few sounds here.
Okay.
I could have just picked one, but I didn't feel like it. So
well, it's your podcast.
So how about the howling of the dog or the wolf or whatever it is from Haunted Mansion?
Yeah.
You can almost hear that from outside the park sometimes. And it's the that
you're
thing.
So right. That puts you right
when
in
you're walking towards
yes.
Haunted Mansion and you hear it, it's just
I
little
shivers, like tingles at my spine.
Say it again, Mufasa. Say it again.
That was really a good pick.
But it's one of those things,
That's my
right?
favorite pick from you so far.
Wow. Okay, great. I'm gonna add a few more sounds.
Okay.
So let's see. Let's see how much better it gets.
Okay.
How about you're walking into the park under the train tracks, and you hear the train whistle from the Walt Disney World Railroad.
Oh yes! Oh my god! Wow, you are really killing it. And you're also doing a very accurate.
That was a pretty good whistle, right?
It was really good.
I was going to add the sound effects.
I'm not
in
making
here,
fun of you,
but I don't think I need to add it. I think that is perfect.
It's not getting better than that.
How about this one?
Uh-oh.
More Main Street USA.
Getting excited.
How about the sound of the horseshoes click-clacking down Main Street USA?
Wow. See, these are the kinds of things. This is perfect for this podcast.
Yes. How about that noise?
Yes.
Now, did you know, and I think I mentioned it on the show before, that they put special horseshoes on the horses to make that noise?
You did tell me that.
Pretty cool, right?
Yes.
So
it is very cool.
I can almost hear the ambient music in my head right now with the sound of the click, clack, click, clack, click, clack, the horses
you can.
walking down Main Street. I love it. That I might put in here because I really like that. How about this one?
Uh-oh, he's another one.
I have two more.
Oh, two more.
The sound of the guns at the Frontierland Shooting Arcade.
Yes, excellent.
It's like the...
I can totally hear all of these as you say them.
So when you're walking by,
yes.
We never play it, but when you're walking by it,
that's another one.
And you hear the photon, that's okay because
thank you.
You're a girl. I get it. You're a girl. You don't really care about shooting things. When I was a kid, I would do that because
sure.
But I'm not old enough to remember when they used the real pellets and shot real pellets at the target.
No, remember that.
No, I mean I don't think I'm not sure that they even had it. No, they did have it in Walt Disney World. And then they had to change it. But the sound of those electric noises that sound like gunshots, but they're kind of cartoony.
Yeah, I totally know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, okay. And my last one. This is more a phrase than a sound.
That'll work for me.
But I wanted to put it in here. Paging Mr. Morrow.
Yes.
Mr. Tom Morrow.
Oh, I'm so happy you referenced that because that's one of my favorite things. And I did not put that on there.
Little things, right? Little noises, little sayings, little sounds.
Yes.
That literally don't do anything.
Absolutely.
Except just draw you in.
Yes.
And add to the overall feeling of the park and the magic of the day.
And they kind of foreshadow what you're about to experience.
True. Right? Yeah. I mean,
a little bit. Some of them.
Yes.
I was thinking of the howling.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking of too. Absolutely. And the train whistle too.
And the train
Both
whistle.
of them. Ooh. Nah, not as good. It wasn't as good.
No.
It was way better the first time.
I actually have something that can fit right in. So this is just, I'm going to add.
Are you going to add a little bonus into that?
Yes, a little bonus.
All right, what do you got?
Is, walking through Adventureland at night when it's real dark and quiet, except for the background music and the Jungle Cruise noises. So that's like, you could add on to it. Oh, he's so good.
Then they hear like the
So that's pretty cool, right? That's
I'm sorry. I'm very
he really
musical Jungle Cruise or Adventureland-y kind of mood.
Great mood, you guys.
I love that though, because I think, listen, the transitions between the lands with the music is done so well. And again, this could be a whole episode in itself.
It could.
But think about walking from Main Street past what is the the restaurant, Crystal Palace,
Right.
into Adventureland.
Yep.
And the music changes from that Victorian Main Street
It does.
USA
It does.
slowly. You don't even notice it
No,
unless
you
you're looking
never
for it.
notice
Into that do 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 do
Yes.
do do do, and the drums and the native music and it's you don't even realize it, but you're in a new place
It's true.
that quickly.
Yep.
Like, come on.
I know.
Nowhere
It's
else does
incredible.
that. It's
Nowhere
such
else in the world.
Listen. Keep raising your prices, Disney. I'll pay it. I don't care.
I know. And guess what? So will a million other people.
I'll sell my car. We'll get a smaller car.
It's worth it.
Sell
Worth
our
it.
house. Live in an
Hashtag
apartment.
worth it.
I don't care.
Totally.
I'll pay it. You don't get this experience
No, you
anywhere else.
don't.
You just don't.
No, you don't.
Anyway, and listen. This is going to be me forever. They got me.
Right now.
I'm hooked.
Me too, obviously. And so many people that we know.
I memorized the darn Adventureland
You
music.
did. It was really
Like,
good.
I bet somebody who just listened to me do that was like, oh, I know that song.
That
like-
is familiar too.
Like, I know that beat. Like, even though it's so silly because it's just from my top of my head, but somebody was like, yeah, yep, I got that. All right, whose turn is it? Is it your turn?
It is
Your
my
last one?
turn. Yeah, so this is my last one.
You ready to hit this one out of the park using
I-
a baseball reference?
I certainly hope so. Oh yeah, we're back to baseball.
The old grand salami.
And then if you want, I do love salami. And then if you want,
Yeah, right from baseball to food.
and then if you want, a couple honorable
You
mentions.
do
I
love
do
salami.
have.
I'm not a big. I'm all right. It's fine.
Yeah, oh, that's my favorite.
It's fine. Like I feel like that's a very New York in you.
It is very possible. I always say that it's whatever you grew up with.
Yeah, I
right?
did not grow up with
So I
salami.
grew up with it, and you grew up with Lebanon bologna, which I had literally never.
Yeah,
even
that's
heard
that's
of.
good stuff. I like that
I've
stuff.
never even heard of that.
I grew up with that. You know, my dad used to eat all the time liverwurst.
Yes, you have told me that.
That is
He
horrifying.
loves. He
That-
still loves it.
He eats it with ketchup
He eats it, and doesn't he put
and
onions
cheese.
in it?
Yeah, liverwurst, onions, and ketchup.
Yes,
That's a
it's his
horrifying
favorite. Oh, it's his favorite.
on Wonder or white bread or Stroman bread. That is a
Yeah, because he
horrifying
grew up with
combination.
that.
Oh
You know
my
that
god,
he did.
he did. It's man, I can't even. The smell of that sandwich brings me back to my childhood, and not in a good way.
In a negative
Like
manner.
we would eat lunch, and my mom would make my dad wait. I'm not even kidding.
It's hard to eat when you're smelling
She
it.
would make him wait until after she and her children had had lunch
Oh, that's so
before
funny.
he ate his lunch because the smell of it would put everybody out of the kitchen. It's that bad. Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, this has nothing to do with liverwurst or bad smells. So this is
I want to know. I'm sorry to interrupt one more time.
no problem.
If you are listening to this right now,
Yep.
and you have ever eaten liverwurst
Do
or
you-
enjoy
you
it,
immediately.
no. You can try to make your own question after this. I was going to ask a question. I want to know from the listener if you eat liverwurst regularly or if you did in the past. Let me know. I want to know because I don't know if anybody eats it anymore.
That's a great question.
I've never seen it since my childhood.
But your dad has eaten it.
I mean, my dad still gets it from somewhere.
He does. I don't know where he finds it.
He gets into his DeLorean and goes and finds it. He's got it hidden in a barn somewhere in Philadelphia. I've literally we have great delis around here.
We do.
I've never seen liverwurst in a deli case.
That is such a great...
Have you ever seen it?
No, I don't even know what it is now that I'm thinking about it.
It's liver. That's exactly what it is.
But is it like a lunch meat?
Yeah, but it's like a
Like where they slice it like turkey?
yeah, but it's the consistency.
It's a different consistency and a different...
It's soft.
color, right? Yes, I knew.
So it would fall apart if you touched it.
I'm just laughing because that kind of thing grosses you out. So
Oh, I know. No, any kind of soft cheeses or soft foods.
Oh, he can't even talk about them.
Oh man, no soft cheese. Like if you try to give me brie,
I
oh
have-
my god, I'm
I
out
have
of here.
tried to give it to you, and you're like, nope, no.
No, it
You were
freaks me out.
You were so excited.
So imagine
when I was
it.
pregnant and I couldn't eat. Although I never really eat it.
No, but imagine soft meats. That shouldn't even be a thing. Like that liverwurst and that meat with the olives in it. I don't know why.
Pimento loaf?
Who's that for?
I don't know.
Who
Does
gets
anyone
that?
eat pimento loaf?
I love olives, but I'm not eating lunch meat with olives in it.
It's almost like looks like bologna, right, with Mentos in it.
Yeah.
Or
Or
olives,
ham. Ham with olives in it.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. I've never had it either.
Dude, and whoa. All right, we got to start talking about it.
Okay, so I'm going to do my last item, which is being on that bridge in front of the Beast Castle like where you're waiting to be called. You know
Right.
what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So this is when
After you check in at Be Our Guest.
Yes, when you check in, that whole area. So
well
I'm
done.
specifically referencing it at night, although during the day is totally fine. But at night, and there's a little bridge, and you usually stand, or I guess you can sit, and wait for them to call you. But you don't have to do that. You can just hang out there anyway. But so
Are you allowed on the bridge if you don't have reservations? I don't know.
Oh, that's a great question. Maybe not.
I don't know if you're not allowed, but I just think people wait off of it, like next to it.
Yes.
Before. Yeah.
Well, the time that I experienced it was actually right after we had dined at Be Our Guest.
Gotcha.
We came out, and right before we were leaving, I think it was our server said, "Hey, if you're leaving right now, get to the bridge and stop on the bridge because the fireworks are going to start, and you can see them from the bridge." And I was like, "Are you kidding me right now? This is unbelievable." So we did, and it was so magical. But I think even just being on that bridge, like right in front of the castle, I feel like that's the closest you're ever going to be being Maurice.
Maurice? I get it.
Crazy old Maurice. I wasn't sure if you knew who he was.
No,
so.
I just got confused. That's all. So go ahead.
Right? Because it's like, it's like dark and foreboding, but also
God, now I know what you're going
very
for.
magical.
Gotcha.
And so
When he gets to the
first
castle,
gets to the castle, and he's like,
Now I got it.
"Oh, this is so beautiful, but I may or may not die." Like it's really, really is. I don't think that a lot of people think about it. It is like a scene from the movie.
Of course, you're welcome here. It's a horrible Lumiere. Am
I welcome? It really is. They did such an awesome job with the theming of it, and it is an amazing spot to be in, and particularly if you are there for the fireworks, you can see every single thing. I think you're right because I remember it not being crowded at all. So it must be a limited amount of people that can be on.
Yeah, I think basically they have the cast members that come to the end of the bridge.
Yes.
To call the parties.
Okay.
So
if you get a chance to experience it, make sure you do because it's a little touch that is so magical.
Yeah. No, it is. I'm fairly sure that you have to have a reservation. I don't think they would kick you off,
right.
But I think it's kind of understood that you cross the bridge if you have a reservation.
Right.
I think you could do a Little Things episode about Be Our Guest.
Oh, I totally agree with that.
Everything about it, from each room, from the bridge, the gargoyles,
absolutely,
just the door that they have to open to get into the restaurant.
Yes.
It looks huge, heavy wooden door with like bars on it. Like everything about it feels like it should from the movie.
Totally agree.
It's one of those things that they really brought to life.
They really did
perfectly, and it's what's setting the bar higher for Disney each year.
I agree.
Is the immersiveness and immersiveness or immersion? One
immersion,
of the two,
but whatever. Either one, I think is acceptable.
The immersion. Yeah, that's true. The immersion of being in the film, like that. What, did I hit the pop filter again? Excuse me. Sorry. Excuse me, pop filter. I keep hitting it.
Funny because it almost hits him in the face.
I know. Well, you know what it is? I raised it because I felt like. Anyway, nobody needs to know that.
No, it's fine.
It's not a story I have to tell. But the way Imagineering now, when they build things, they're not building rides.
No, you're right.
They're not simply building restaurants anymore.
No.
Like, I think once Universal built the Harry Potter sections in the parks, Disney decided, all right, that's how you want to play it?
We're not going to be outdone.
You want to play it like that, Universal? All right, you got Harry Potter, wait to see what we do. And they built New Fantasyland with, think about the outside, the views that you get of Prince Eric's castle and the queue to the Little Mermaid.
Yes.
And even like little tiny things, like everything is big and immersive. That's what I was looking for. And just feels like it should in the movies. Like, wait until you see Galaxy's Edge.
I know.
Wait until you see it.
But
it's amazing. And talk about little things. That land is full of them. Like if you're a Star Wars fan, you walk through there, you're gonna be like, "Holy cow!" Like I can't believe they put this here.
Right.
And that's
like
what
they thought of it, that they included it.
Yeah, and I get that with Toy Story Land a little bit. I get that, and
I love Toy Story
I'm being
Land.
unfair to Toy Story Land. I get it a little bit because the idea of it is a place they created themselves. It's not
Right.
Andy's backyard is what it's supposed to be. Isn't a part that plays prominently in any of the films.
No, it's a good point.
So they make it up.
And it's a different type of movie too, right? Like, with Star Wars, that's a whole world.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
That they can, yeah.
So it's totally apples
They can
and
pull all these little
Right.
tiny things from all these corners of the galaxy and put it into this land.
Right.
Which is what they do with Be Our Guest. Like, they have literally taken the castle from the movie,
Right.
put it in Magic Kingdom, and you get to live it.
That's so cool.
It's amazing. All right, so sorry, you had
No,
something.
I was just gonna say, I think you made great points, and I think that just when you were just talking about it, when I was really thinking about the Beast Castle, I think that's another thing that people really do overlook, especially if you are going to be our guest. I think you're so focused on being inside, and the theming inside is gorgeous and amazing and unbeatable. But I think you're thinking about the food, you're thinking about when are you going to sit, that kind of thing. So you don't really focus on what it looks like and how you really do feel like you're in that moment.
Yeah,
So try to take a minute. To just
I think
appreciate
I think you're right. I think maybe the second or third time we ate there,
Right.
I know I appreciated it tremendously the first time, but it's so much to take in.
There's a lot happening. There is.
So all right, so again, little things that make the experience magical. It's
Yes.
so many. So this is my last one, and you know what? I just thought of one off the top of my head while we were thinking.
Tell me.
I was thinking of the noises again, and all the sounds that How about the sound the Magic Band makes when it scans?
Oh,
The
yes.
ding ding.
Oh,
I love
like,
that noise.
Your day has just got amazing.
It's just like that doo doo. Like,
you are beginning.
it's very happy, and it does
It
it
is
with the
very
fast passes
happy.
too. Whenever you're singing Magic Bands,
Yeah.
I'm going to argue that they should put speakers. This will never happen. They should put speakers on your doorknobs in your hotel room.
You should do that.
So when you open it,
I
it should
mean,
go.
they should
It should
do
go
that.
doo doo like everywhere else.
You shouldn't do that. You don't have time.
No.
But somebody should do
Anyway.
that.
So I just thought of that one. My last one, again, I'm going back to Main Street.
Of course.
I think it's just so full of little things.
It is.
All right, so the Main Street USA is set, like I said, at the turn of the century. It's the turn of the 19th century rolling into the 20th century, right? So, for example, the front of, when you first walk in Main Street, the street lamps are gas-powered street lamps.
Right.
And when you're at the end of Main Street USA, they're electric-powered street lamps. So that you've actually
That
gone
is so
forward
amazing.
as
I did
you've
not
walked
think about that.
as you've walked down Main Street USA, you've gone forward in time. You've rolled from the 19th century to the 20th century. So there's a part of that experience in the car barn. Do you know what the car barn is?
I do not.
So next to the Harmony Barbershop in Town Square,
Right.
to the left of the Harmony Barbershop, if you're looking at it from straight on,
Okay.
is where they keep the horse-drawn trolley and the horses.
Yes.
They call it, it's just a car barn. That's what they call it.
That's fine.
So in the car barn, when you walk in, you're looking on your right, look at the ceiling. Look up, when you're looking into it, when the doors are open, look over the horse stalls in the ceiling on your right hand side. You're going to see a wire hanging with one light bulb on it.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Actually.
Really weird and out of place. Like,
Yeah.
you're like, that's strange that would be there. Why is that one light
I've
bulb
noticed that.
hanging on that one lone
Right.
wire? Here's why. That light bulb is actually an Edison light bulb, meaning it was made using only the elements that Thomas Edison would have had available to him when he
that's
hand
so cool.
designed the first ever light bulb. So Disney actually goes to a contractor, an outside contractor who doesn't work for the company. I think he's somewhere like in Virginia or something like that.
Okay.
He makes these light bulbs by hand, the same way Edison did, using only the things that would have been available to Thomas Edison in his days.
Amazing.
He uses the glass blowing, whatever, and he makes one at a time,
Oh my gosh.
and he sells
course
them,
he does.
and Disney contracts him to sell him that light bulb. So the one light bulb, only one in the whole car barn, is an actual Edison light bulb that they've been using, and they replace them whenever they need to. But it's been hanging there since 1971. How cool is that?
That's unreal. Yes, that's extremely cool.
So I just think that they don't have to do that.
No, they
What's the
don't have to
point?
do that.
Just put a regular light bulb in there.
Right.
But they decided, listen, we're going to make this authentic. We're going to make this the 19th century going into the 20th century. So this light bulb here that's hanging from a wire that looks like it fell out of the ceiling is intentionally there to put you into that moment in history. I love that. Like, no other theme park, no other anywhere in the world does stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Like, that's something that's very, very unique to Walt Disney World, very unique to Magic Kingdom, and I think it's awesome, and I love it.
I think that's amazing. And I have a little thing to close out the show because I love closing out. Look at your face. He's so mad.
I just ended the show. What are you talking about?
Well, I have a little thing because you began the show by saying a little thing that you loved or whatever about me.
I didn't say that. That's not true.
I want to say a little thing that I love about you, specifically in terms of Disney.
You know, people are going to hear this, right? Don't be too crazy.
Which is, so, you guys can tell a lot about Phil's personality. And I don't know if you guys can tell if this comes across, but he is very much like a creature of habit, creature of routine. And he lives his life every day in a pretty specific way. He has like rules. No, this is really, you're going to know exactly what it is.
All right.
He has like rules, and he has a lot of rules, I would say. Like, obviously, no eating soft meats, can't take a bubble bath, that kind of thing.
Don't bring up the bubbles.
But he's going to throw up.
I do not like bubbles.
But so he has a lot of rules. Like, he has to, he won't eat lunch if it's not considered a lunchtime. Like, if something happens.
I thought we were going to start painting a positive picture.
We are.
When?
I'm getting there in a minute.
You're like, this is what I don't like about him. I don't like
I love all
this.
this about you because it makes you you, but it makes you unique and awesome. But so, like, if for some reason something has taken us, we're busy and it's like 2:00, I'm like, oh gosh, we didn't eat lunch. She's like, lunch? I'm not gonna eat lunch. I'm just gonna eat dinner.
Logically, I'll have dinner at 5:30 or 6 then.
Right, like that's just how he lives his life. But when we are in Disney, I call him Vacation Phil, and there are no rules. It's incredible. It's amazing. And I'm like, oh, I'm so hungry, and it's 9, but I'm not really in the mood for breakfast food. He's like, me neither. Let's get a sandwich. And I'm like, really? Because home Phil would never eat a sandwich at 9 a.m. And especially the best part is, like, at lunch specifically, I always ask him if we can share 2 different things. And he won't. That's another one of the rules. He won't do it. But when we're in Disney.
I sound horrible.
No, you like what you like. But when we're in Disney, you guys, it's so exciting. He'll be like, I'll get us lunch. And he will automatically, not even asking me, get 2 different options. And he'll already have cut like the sandwich in half. Let's say it's like a burger and chicken fingers, right? He will split them between the 2 baskets, and I get to eat 2 different things for lunch, and so does he. And it's so awesome.
I'm just trying to.
My point is,
I'm trying to wrap my head around who you live with, like 312 days of the year, and who you live with the rest of the time.
All I'm saying is,
like, it's scary to me.
Disney brings out the best in you. It brings out the relaxed part of you and the kid and the, you know what? We're in Disney. Let's just do it. Let's just enjoy ourselves. Let's forget about my rules. Don't put any bubbles near me, but otherwise, or soft meat. Otherwise, I'm just going to be in the moment. I'm going to appreciate the little things. I'm going to eat 2 different things for lunch, and it's going to be an amazing, magical moment. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. That's nice. I guess.
It's definitely meant extremely nicely.
Okay. I just to cover my butt a little bit here. I probably have a little bit of OCD.
I wasn't saying it.
No, like, I am very stringent in a way.
Well, you're just more comfortable in your comfort zone.
Yes, that's true.
Who isn't?
So I do things
Guys, by the way,
way,
I do things really weirdly. You could talk about my things.
You're just like, whatever. You don't have any rules.
No, that's why we fit so well together.
Like, you're just like, whatever. Like,
yes.
Like, I don't know how you get through life that way, but I need structure.
I do it, man.
Well, thank you, I guess, for the kind words.
No, I really mean it. What I mean seriously is this was a perfect topic for us and for you specifically, because you do always appreciate the little things, and I appreciate the little things about you.
Well, that was really nice. Now I feel I'm just going to end it. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
This was fun. This is a lot of fun. Thank you for making me uncomfortable at the end.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
And that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Ear to There Disney podcast. Thank you so much again to my wife, Amy Liz, for being on another episode. I know Amy's become kind of the second host of the show, but hey, when you're good, and the girl is good. So thank you to Ames. Thank you to Bob Gurr for answering another question on the show, even though I'm pretty sure he answered that one before. But like I said, that's one of my favorite answers that Bob's given. And thank you so much, really sincerely, for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope it was entertaining. I love talking about the little things that make Walt Disney World so magical and spectacular and make vacations there really so memorable. Sure, you'll remember the drop down the Chickapin Hill at Splash Mountain. You'll remember the loop on Rock and Roller Coaster. You remember the first time you see Cinderella Castle, but the little things really all kind of add up together to make the experience just, it takes a magical experience. Those little things make it an unforgettable one. So again, thank you so much for listening. And remember, there will be a new episode of the Ear to There Disney podcast next week, as well as a bonus episode, and hopefully, if time permits, which it hasn't in the last couple of weeks, and I apologize, there will also be a new episode of the Walt Disney World Word of the Week. So until next time, thank you again so much for listening. You are so awesome. I know I said so a lot there, but you are. Have a fantastic week. I hope you're enjoying this summer. Bye-bye.
Ear to there.